The pharmacist's voice dropped to a whisper, but everyone in line heard it anyway. "I'm sorry, Mrs. Ellis. Your card has been declined." My hands shook as I fumbled through my purse for another card that wasn't there. The people behind me shifted impatiently. My heart medication sat on the counter between us, a barrier I couldn't cross. 63 years old, and I was standing in Parkview Pharmacy unable to afford the pills that kept me alive. "I'll call my son," I managed, my voice cracking. Outside, I sat in my car and stared at my phone. 3 days ago, I'd asked Daniel for help with this month's prescriptions. He'd sighed heavily and said they were stretched too thin. Kendra's boutique wasn't making money yet. Liam needed new school supplies. They just couldn't afford it right now. I'd believed him. Then I opened Facebook to distract myself from the humiliation still burning in my chest. Kendra's latest post filled my screen. Her hand was extended toward the camera, fingers spread wide. A massive diamond caught the light, throwing rainbows across her perfect manicure. "Blessed beyond measure," the caption read. "My amazing husband knows how to treat his queen." The comments gushed. My stomach turned as I scrolled. $12,000, according to one comment. My phone buzzed. A notification from my bank app. Daniel Ellis, Rewrote Jewelers, purchase confirmed. $11,847. My finger hovered over Daniel's number before I pressed call. Each ring felt like a small eternity. When he finally answered, I could hear Kendra laughing in the background. "Hey, Mom. What's up?" "I saw Kendra's ring," I said quietly. "It's beautiful." Silence stretched between us. The laughter behind him stopped. "Yeah, she's been wanting one for a while," Daniel said carefully. "The pharmacy declined my card today. For my heart medication." I kept my voice steady, but my hands betrayed me, trembling against the steering wheel. "Mom, I told you we can't help this month. We're really tight." "Daniel, the ring cost almost $12,000. I only needed $300. His voice hardened. "That came from Kendra's savings. Money she's been putting away from her business. You don't get to police how we spend our own money." "Your own money?" My voice cracked. "I'm your mother. I raised you alone after your father died." "Here we go," he muttered. "Making everything about you. Kendra worked hard for that ring. I'm not going to let you guilt trip us." The line went dead. I sat in that parking lot for 20 minutes, crying so hard I thought I might need those pills immediately. When I finally drove home, I found an envelope in my mailbox. No name, no return address. Inside was a receipt from Rewrote Jewelers. The purchase date matched the day Daniel told me he couldn't help. The customer name read Daniel Ellis. On the back, in looping handwriting, resizing for K. Rush. I spread the receipt on my kitchen table under the lamp, studying every detail. The store's logo. The itemized description. The total that could have covered my medications for an entire year. My laptop sat nearby, still open from earlier. I'd been organizing old files when I'd stumbled across my late husband's email drafts. Most were mundane, appointment reminders, shopping lists he'd never sent. But one draft, dated 2 weeks before his heart attack 5 years ago, had a subject line that stopped me cold, about Kendra. I clicked it open with shaking hands. "Ruth, I need you to keep our accounts separate. I don't want to speak ill, but I've noticed things. Kendra isolates Daniel from us. She redirects conversations, creates distance. If something happens to me first, protect yourself. Keep your own money secure. Don't let her convince you to merge anything. Trust me on this. Your Tom **. He'd seen it. 5 years ago, my husband had seen what I'd dismissed as wedding jitters. He'd tried to warn me, but death had stolen his voice before he could send it. I printed the email and placed it beside the receipt. 2 pieces of a puzzle I hadn't known I was solving. The next day, I decided to make peace. I bought ingredients for Daniel's favorite chicken soup and drove to their house Sunday evening. I stood on their porch, holding the pot of soup. Through the window, I could see them in the kitchen. I raised my hand to knock, then froze. Kendra's voice carried clearly through the door. "How much longer do you think she'll hold out?" "I don't know," Daniel replied. "She's stubborn. She won't last long without help. Those medications aren't optional. She'll cave eventually." Daniel laughed. Actually laughed. "Yeah, you're probably right. She'll sign whatever we need her to sign once she gets desperate enough." My hands went numb. The soup pot tilted dangerously. The power of attorney was genius, babe. Once we have control of her accounts, we can manage things properly. "She's got at least 200,000 sitting there," Kendra continued. "Plus whatever Tom left. She doesn't need all that at her age. We have a child to raise. She'll understand eventually. And if she doesn't? Then she doesn't. She made her choices." I set the soup pot down silently on their porch mat and backed away. My heart hammered so hard I thought I might collapse. At my car, I sat in darkness, watching their lit windows. They were strategizing my desperation. Planning to take control of my life. I pulled out my phone and searched for attorneys in Riverton Heights. One name stood out, Marisol Vega. I called the next morning. Attorney Marisol Vega had an office above a coffee shop downtown. She was younger than I expected, maybe 40, with sharp eyes that didn't miss anything. "Tell me everything," she said, sliding a legal pad across her desk. I told her about the medication, the ring, the receipt, Tom's email, and what I'd overheard. My voice only broke twice. She made notes in quick, aggressive strokes. "Do you have any financial accounts connected to them?" "There's a secondary card on my checking account. I added Daniel 5 years ago for emergencies. That needs to be closed immediately. Today." She looked up. "Mrs. Ellis, what you're describing is potential elder financial abuse. The fact that they're discussing power of attorney while denying you basic medical needs is extremely concerning. They're my family. They're exploiting you." Her voice wasn't unkind, just honest. "You have two options. Confront them now and likely get nowhere, or gather evidence first and protect yourself legally." "Evidence?" She leaned forward. "No more conversations without documentation. If they push any paperwork, record it. Can you do that?" My hands shook. "I think so." "Good. First, freeze that card and change your passwords. Don't tell them. Second, let them make the next move. They'll escalate when they realize they've lost access." I left with a small voice recorder and instructions. Daniel called that evening. I was ready. "Hey, Mom. You left soup on our porch." "Did I? I must have forgotten it." I kept my voice light. "Are you okay? That's not like you." "Actually, Daniel, I wanted to talk to you and Kendra about something. Can you both come over for dinner Friday?" Silence. Then, "What's this about?" "I got a letter from my aunt's estate attorney. Apparently, she left me a small inheritance. Nothing huge, but I thought we should discuss how to handle it properly." I could practically hear his pupils dilate. "An inheritance? Nothing crazy. Maybe 40 or 50,000. But at my age, I want to make sure things are organized. Maybe you two can help me." "Yeah," he said quickly. "Yeah, we can definitely do that. Friday works." When I hung up, I felt sick. I just baited my own son with money that didn't exist. But Marisol had been clear, let them reveal themselves. Friday arrived. I'd made pot roast and set the table with Tom's good china. The voice recorder sat in my cardigan pocket, already running. Kendra arrived wearing the ring. Daniel carried a leather folder. "So," Kendra said after we'd filled our plates. Tell us about this inheritance. I played confused perfectly. Well, I don't entirely understand it all. Legal paperwork is so complicated. Daniel opened his folder. That's why we brought these. He spread papers across the table. Power of attorney forms. All filled out except for my signature. I picked up the papers slowly, squinting at them. What exactly does this mean? It means if anything happens to you, Kendra explained with exaggerated patience, Daniel can handle your finances. Pay bills, manage accounts. It's standard for people your age. But nothing's wrong with me. Not yet, Daniel said. But you're forgetting things. Leaving soup on porches. Getting confused about money. This inheritance proves you need help managing things. I set the papers down. I'm not confused. Mom, you called 3 times last week asking if we'd talked, but we had. You're showing signs. His voice dripped with false concern. The recorder captured every word. These forms would give you access to all my accounts? That's the point, Kendra said. Her smile was gone now. So we can help you. So you don't get taken advantage of. Bad decisions like what? Like spending money you need for care on unnecessary things, Daniel said. The irony was suffocating. Could I think about it? Kendra's hand shot across the table, covering mine. The ring felt cold. Ruth. These things are easier when you just handle them quickly. Sign tonight while we're here. Otherwise, you might forget, or lose the papers, or what? I pulled my hand back. Or make this harder than it needs to be, Kendra said flatly. The mask had slipped. They left without my signature. I immediately emailed the audio to Marisol. Saturday morning, I arrived at my bank when the doors opened. The manager, Patricia, ushered me into her office. I need to remove Daniel Ellis from my account, I said. All accounts. And change all my passwords. She didn't ask why. Within an hour, Daniel's card was cancelled, his access revoked, and my accounts were locked down. Is there anything else? Patricia asked. Can you print the transaction history for the past 6 months? She handed me a manila envelope thick with statements. Ruth, are you safe? I am now. That afternoon, Marisol called. The power of attorney would have given them complete control. They could have emptied your accounts, sold your house, put you in a facility. All legally. I'd come within a signature of losing everything. What do I do now? Wait. They'll escalate when the card's dead. Document everything. Around 7 that evening, tires screeched into my driveway. Car doors slammed. Then hammering on my front door. MOM. Open up. Through the peephole, I saw Daniel and Kendra, both red-faced. Why did the card get declined? Daniel shouted. We needed groceries. You embarrassed us. I opened the door but kept the chain lock engaged. I thought you had your own savings. His face went purple. That's my card. You can't just cancel it. It's my account. We had an agreement. For emergencies, I said calmly. Not for diamond rings. Kendra lunged forward. You spiteful, I closed the door. They pounded for 10 more minutes before leaving. Neighbors' porch lights flicked on. I stood behind my door, shaking but holding firm. The next morning, I found a typed note in my mailbox, *stop. Or else, *no signature. Printed on plain paper. Threatening and cowardly. I photographed it and sent it to Marisol. At church Sunday, my friend Alma pulled me aside. Ruth, are you all right? You look exhausted. I broke. Right there in the fellowship hall, I told her everything. I know someone, she said finally. A private investigator who helped me during my divorce. His name is Roe. He's expensive, but he's thorough. I don't know if I can afford. Call him. Tell him Alma sent you. He'll work something out. Monday morning, I dialed the number. A gravelly voice answered. Row Investigations. My name is Ruth Ellis. Alma gave me your number. I explained the situation. When I finished, he was quiet. Mrs. Ellis, are you in immediate danger? I don't think so. Good. Give me 72 hours. Don't contact them. Lie low. What are you looking for? Everything, he said simply, and hung up. Those 3 days felt like 3 years. I jumped at every sound. Checked the locks obsessively. Slept in 2-hour intervals. Wednesday afternoon, Roe called. We need to meet. The coffee shop on Pine Street. 1 hour. I arrived early. Roe was exactly what I'd pictured, 60-something, weathered face, eyes that had seen too much. He set a thick folder on the table. Mrs. Ellis, what I found is worse than you thought. My hands went cold as Roe opened the folder. Inside were credit applications, bank statements, transaction records. All bearing my name. None that I'd authorized. Your daughter-in-law has been busy, Roe said. 3 credit cards opened in your name over the past 18 months. Total balance, $42,000. Purchases traced to her boutique, inventory, fixtures, personal items. I couldn't speak. Your son signed the applications using a power of attorney that was never executed. He forged your signature. That's identity theft. That's felony elder financial abuse, Roe corrected. There's more. See these transfers? Regular withdrawals from your checking to an LLC called K. Ellis Consulting. That's Kendra. She's been draining you monthly. The room tilted. How much total? Combined with the credit cards, the ring, and transfers? They've taken approximately $67,000 in 2 years. I thought of the medications I'd rationed. The appointments I'd canceled. The groceries I'd stopped buying. Your credit score dropped from excellent to poor. You have collection calls coming. My phone buzzed. A collection agency. What do I do? I whispered. You press charges. I know a detective who specializes in financial crimes. Arturo Vega. He's good. Vega? The same last name as my attorney. Are they related? Cousins. But they keep work separate. Arturo's honest. He'll help. I stared at the folder. My entire financial life, destroyed by the people I'd trusted most. Set up the meeting, I said. Detective Arturo Vega looked too young to be a detective, but his eyes were old. We met at the police station Thursday morning. I brought everything, the receipt, Tom's email, the recordings, transaction history, Roe's investigation. Vega spread it across his desk like pieces of a criminal puzzle. He listened to the dinner recording twice, his jaw tightening. Mrs. Ellis, he said finally, this is clear-cut. Identity theft, elder financial abuse, fraud, forgery. We have documentation of intent, audio evidence of conspiracy, and a pattern of exploitation. They're my family. They're criminals who happen to be related to you. His voice was factual, not harsh. They took advantage of your grief after your husband died. They isolated you. They stole your money while denying you medicine. This isn't family. This is predation. I looked at the formal complaint in front of me. Signing it would set everything in motion. Arrests. Court. Public shame. Family destruction. But they'd already destroyed the family. If I sign, what happens? We arrest them, probably tomorrow morning. They'll be charged, arraigned, and conditions set. You can request a restraining order. Given the evidence, it'll be granted. What about Liam? My grandson. 10 years old and innocent. Child Services will be notified. They'll assess the situation. If there's family who can take him temporarily, that would be ideal. I thought of Liam. Then I thought of Kendra's voice. She won't last long without help. My hands stopped shaking. I picked up the pen and signed my name. Arrests are scheduled for 6 a.m. tomorrow, Vega said. Friday morning. You should stay somewhere else tonight. I drove to Alma's house. She made up her guest room without questions, just handed me clean towels and said, "You're brave." I didn't feel brave. I felt like I was destroying my son's life. That night, I barely slept. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Daniel as a little boy. Crying when he scraped his knee. Laughing at Christmas. Hugging me at his father's funeral and promising he'd always take care of me. But that Daniel had been replaced by someone who forged my signature and laughed about my desperation. At 6:47 a.m., Vega called. "It's done. Both in custody." I thanked him and hung up, then threw up in Alma's bathroom. 2 hours later, someone hammered on Alma's door. Through the window, I saw Kendra's car. She'd made bail already. Alma answered while I stayed hidden. "Where is she?" Kendra shrieked. "Where's that vindictive old, get off my property," Alma said coolly. "Before I call the police again." She had us arrested. Over money she was going to leave us anyway. Over stealing. There's a difference. The door closed. Alma locked it. But I'd heard enough. Kendra found me by noon. I'd stupidly gone home, thinking she'd be too busy with lawyers. She rang my doorbell 17 times before I opened it, chain lock engaged. "You're going to drop the charges," Kendra said. No preamble. No. Yes. Because if you don't, you'll never see Liam again. Ever. My heart stopped. "You can't." "I absolutely can. He's my son. You had Daniel arrested. You think any judge will give you visitation? You're a bitter old woman who turned on her family over money. I turned on criminals who stole from me." Her laugh was brittle. "That's not how it'll look. We'll tell everyone you were confused, paranoid. We'll get doctors to testify about elderly delusion. You have credit cards in my name. Forged signatures. Recordings. You're twisting innocent conversations. We were trying to help you, and you weaponized our concern. That's the story." She was breathing hard, her facade cracking. "Drop the charges by Monday, or you'll never see your grandson again." She left. I sat on my couch, staring at my phone. Liam's school picture smiled from my background. Then my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number, *Grandma, can I stay with you? I'm scared. Liam *, my hands shook as I called Vega. He used his friend's phone, I explained. Can I pick him up? Legally? Not without permission. But given the circumstances and Kendra's threat, I can expedite a custody assessment. Give me 2 hours. Those 2 hours aged me. Finally, Vega called back. CPS is on board. You can pick him up from school with this documentation. I'm emailing it now. At Riverton Elementary, the principal escorted me to where Liam sat, small and scared. When he saw me, he burst into tears. It's okay, I whispered. You're safe now. In my car, he wouldn't let go of my hand. Mom and Dad had a huge fight after the police came, Liam said quietly. Mom kept yelling about money. She threw things. Then she told me you'd gotten Dad in trouble because you were crazy. I'm not crazy, sweetheart. I know. I found something. He pulled a small USB drive from his pocket. Mom keeps it hidden. She said never to touch it, which meant it was important. So I took it. My hands tightened on the steering wheel. Liam, that was dangerous. I know. But Grandma, I think she's been lying about a lot of things. At home, I made Liam grilled cheese while I plugged the USB into my laptop. What I found made my blood run cold. Videos. Spreadsheets. Documents. All of Kendra's crimes, meticulously documented by her own hand. The videos were dated. Kendra, sitting in her boutique after hours, talking to the camera like a diary. March 15th, got the third card approved today. Ruth's credit is still solid, so they didn't question anything. Daniel's getting better at the signatures. Another 10,000 available. She laughed. April 2nd. The old lady asked for help with medications again. I told Daniel to say no. She needs to stay desperate. Desperate people sign things. My hands shook as I clicked through files. May 20th, Daniel's getting cold feet. He actually suggested helping her with the pharmacy bill. I had to remind him we're building our future, not funding her past. The spreadsheets detailed every fraudulent charge, every forged signature, every transfer. Kendra had kept perfect records of her own crimes. Behind me, Liam said quietly, "Is that why you had Dad arrested?" I turned. He stood in the doorway, half-eaten sandwich in hand, looking far too old for 10. "Yes," I said simply. "Your mom and dad stole from me, Liam. They took money I needed for medicine and used it to buy things they wanted." "The ring," he said. "Yes. The ring." He was quiet for a long moment. "Is Dad going to jail?" "I don't know yet." He nodded slowly, then went back to the kitchen. I heard him crying softly. I wanted to comfort him, but first I forwarded these files to Vega and Marisol. Within an hour, Marisol called. This is beyond anything I expected. She documented everything. Why would she do that? Pride, I said. She thought she was untouchable. She was wrong. I'm connecting you with a consumer fraud attorney named Marcus Flynn. He wants to take your civil case pro bono. Why pro bono? Because what happened to you happens to thousands of elderly people every day. They're too ashamed to fight back. You fought. Let him help you win. By Monday, Marcus had filed a civil suit. Vega called with more news. 2 other victims came forward. Similar pattern. Kendra befriended elderly women, gained their trust, then drained their accounts. You're her biggest score, but you're also the one who stopped her. She'd done this before? At least twice that we can prove. Wednesday, the court date arrived. I wore my best dress, the navy one Tom always said made me look dignified. Marcus met me at the courthouse steps. The courtroom was packed. Reporters. Supporters. And Daniel and Kendra with their attorneys. The prosecutor presented evidence methodically. The forged signatures. The credit cards. The recordings. The USB videos. Kendra's attorney tried to claim the videos were out of context, but the judge watched one in full and cut him off. Counselor, your client explicitly describes committing fraud. Context doesn't change that. Daniel's attorney argued he'd been manipulated by Kendra, that he was a victim too. The prosecutor countered with recordings of him laughing about my desperation. After 3 hours, the judge called a recess. Marcus touched my arm. This is going well. When court resumed, the judge addressed both defendants. I've reviewed the evidence and watched the videos. Mrs. Kendra Ellis, your actions constitute elder financial abuse, identity theft, and fraud. Mr. Daniel Ellis, your complicity makes you equally culpable. Daniel finally looked at me. His eyes were red. I'm granting the restraining order. Both defendants are prohibited from contacting Mrs. Ruth Ellis. Financial restitution will be determined at sentencing, but I'm ordering immediate repayment of documented stolen funds, $67,000, plus legal fees and credit repair costs. Kendra shot to her feet. We don't have that. Then you'll work out a payment plan. Sit down. She sat. Sentencing is in 3 weeks. Until then, both defendants will surrender passports and submit to weekly check-ins. Mr. Ellis will also attend a mandatory fraud awareness course. The gavel fell. The media circus continued for days. Supporters sent cards and donations. 3 advocacy groups asked me to speak. But the hardest moment came 2 weeks later. A letter arrived in Daniel's handwriting. For several minutes, I couldn't open it. Finally, with tea cooling beside me, I slid my finger under the seal. Mom, I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't forgive myself. You asked how I could choose Kendra over you. The truth is, I didn't choose. I stopped choosing anything. I let her make decisions. I let her tell me what to think. I let her convince me that helping you was punishing us. I was weak. And scared. And so desperate to keep my marriage together that I ignored everything else. Including you. Including right and wrong. I know sorry doesn't fix anything. Sorry doesn't give you back the medicine you couldn't afford. Sorry doesn't erase the nights you went without. Sorry doesn't undo the lies I told Liam. But I am sorry. For all of it. I don't know what happens next. I don't know if I'll go to jail or if you'll ever speak to me again. I just needed you to know that somewhere underneath all the mistakes, I still remember being your son. I remember you staying up all night when I had pneumonia. I remember you working 2 jobs after Dad died. I remember everything you sacrificed. And I threw it away for someone who saw you as a resource, not a person. I'm sorry, Mom. Daniel. I cried for an hour. Not because the letter changed anything, but because somewhere in those words was the boy I'd raised. Buried under bad decisions, but still there. I didn't write back. Not yet. But I kept the letter. 3 days before sentencing, Liam asked if he could stay with me permanently. We were making cookies when he said it. Grandma, Mom's house doesn't feel safe anymore. I stopped rolling dough. She said that to you? Not exactly. But I heard her on the phone. She told her sister that if I hadn't stolen her private property, none of this would have happened. 10 years old, and his mother had made him feel responsible for her crimes. Liam, none of this is your fault. What your mom did was wrong long before you found that USB. I know. But I can't live there anymore. She looks at me like she hates me. My heart broke. What about your dad? He's moving to an apartment. He says I can visit weekends, but he's not fighting for custody. He just seems tired. What do you want? I want to stay here. With you. If that's okay. I pulled him into a hug, flower coating both of us. Of course it's okay. The custody arrangement happened fast. Daniel signed papers agreeing to temporary guardianship. Kendra didn't contest it, probably relieved to have him gone. By sentencing day, Liam had his own room in my house, decorated with posters and homework. The courtroom was less crowded this time. The judge reviewed pre-sentencing reports. Daniel had completed his course and started therapy. Kendra had done neither. Mr. Ellis, the judge said, I've read your statement and spoken with your therapist. You show genuine remorse. However, remorse doesn't erase the crime. Daniel stood. I understand, Your Honor. 18 months supervised probation, 300 hours community service at an elder care facility, and mandatory continued therapy. You'll also pay your portion of restitution, $33,500, at $500 monthly. Daniel nodded, relief visible on his face. Mrs. Kendra Ellis. Kendra stood slowly. She'd lost weight. The ring was gone, seized as proceeds of crime. You show no remorse. You maintained innocence despite video evidence. You've blamed everyone except yourself. Kendra's attorney tried to interrupt. The judge silenced him with a look. 2 years in county jail, suspended after 6 months with good behavior. Upon release, 3 years supervised probation. You'll pay your portion of restitution and you're permanently banned from working in financial services or positions involving vulnerable populations. Kendra's face went white. 6 months in jail? You're fortunate it's not more. Elder abuse is serious. The gavel fell. This time, it really was over. After sentencing, Daniel asked to speak to me. His attorney advised against it, but Daniel insisted. We met in a private room. Just the two of us. Thank you for taking care of Liam, he said quietly. He's my grandson. I know. But after everything, you didn't have to. We sat in silence. The clock ticked loudly. Mom, I don't expect forgiveness. I don't know if I deserve it. But I need you to know something. When the police arrested me, my first thought was that you'd given up on me. I was angry for about 6 hours. He rubbed his face. Then they showed me the evidence. All of it. And I realized you weren't cutting me off. You were saving your own life. From me. His voice broke. I did that. I made you choose between your safety and your son. I want to be better. I want to be the son you deserved instead of the one who stole from you. Then be better, I said simply. Not for me. For yourself. For Liam. Can I call sometimes? To check on him? Yes. Through my attorney initially. Eventually, maybe directly. We'll see. He nodded, tears streaming. I love you, Mom. I know I don't get to say that right now, but it's true. I stood to leave. At the door, I turned back. I love you too, Daniel. That's why this hurts so much. The first restitution check arrived 3 weeks later. $500, Daniel's signature at the bottom. I deposited it and used part to take Liam to the bookstore. He picked 3 books and a puzzle. We got ice cream after. Grandma, he said, chocolate chip coating his lips, are you still mad at Dad? That's complicated. But are you? I thought about it. I'm disappointed. Hurt. Sad. Mad is in there too, but it's not the main thing anymore. What's the main thing? Relief. I'm relieved I'm safe. Relieved you're safe. Relieved the truth came out. He nodded. Mom called me yesterday. From jail. What did she say? She said she was sorry. But it didn't sound like she meant it. It sounded like she was reading from a script. How did that make you feel? Tired, he said. I'm tired of being in the middle. You're not in the middle anymore. You're here with me. Safe. That night, I found a letter from Marisol in my mailbox. Inside was a check from the civil suit settlement. $40,000 recovered from Kendra's assets. Plus $10,000 from Daniel's retirement withdrawal. $50,000. I sat on my porch watching the sunset, holding that check. Tom would have told me to use it for something meaningful. Something that mattered. The next morning, I called Marisol. I want to set up a fund, I told her. For elderly people who can't afford legal help when family members financially abuse them. Can we do that? Yes, she said. Absolutely yes. The Elder Financial Defense Fund launched 3 months later. Marisol agreed to administer it through her practice. We started small, enough to help 2 or 3 people. But word spread. Local news covered it. National outlets picked it up. Donations came in. By month 2, we'd helped 7 people. By month 6, 23. Each case was different. Adult children stealing Social Security. Grandchildren forging signatures. Caregivers draining accounts. But the shame and fear were always the same. I met with each person who requested help. I listened. I told them mine. I assured them they weren't alone. One woman, Patricia, was 78. Her daughter had stolen nearly $100,000 over 5 years. Patricia had been too ashamed to report it. "She's my daughter," Patricia whispered. "How can I send her to jail? She sent herself there when she chose to steal from you. You're just refusing to be her victim anymore." Patricia filed charges. Her daughter was convicted. Patricia got therapy and used restitution to move into a senior community where she made friends and started painting. She sent me a watercolor of a sunrise. On the back, "Thank you for teaching me that protecting myself isn't betrayal." I hung it in my living room, next to Liam's school photos. Liam was thriving. His grades improved. He joined robotics club. He laughed more. Meanwhile, Kendra was released after serving 4 months with good behavior. She moved 2 states away to her parents' house. According to Daniel, she blamed everyone for her situation and planned to rebuild her brand once things cooled down. Some people never learned. But her absence made healing possible. By the 1-year anniversary of my arrest, my private name for the day everything changed, life had found a new rhythm. Liam and I moved to a small duplex near Riverside Park. 2 bedrooms, a tiny yard, and enough distance from painful memories to feel like a fresh start. Liam planted tomatoes. I started a garden club for elderly residents in the neighborhood. We hosted Sunday dinners where everyone brought a dish and loneliness took the night off. The fund was growing. We'd helped 47 people pursue justice against family members who'd exploited them. 3 cases went to trial. All 3 resulted in convictions. One grateful recipient nominated me for a local Courage Award. I accepted but redirected attention to Marisol and the fund. "I'm not special," I told the small crowd. "I just decided I deserved better." That's a choice anyone can make. Daniel's restitution payments arrived like clockwork. Never late. Always with a brief note, "For Liam's college fund," or "For your garden project," or simply, "I'm sorry." He'd moved into a small apartment near his workplace. According to Liam, it was sparsely furnished but clean. Daniel had pictures of Liam on his fridge and was learning to cook. "He made spaghetti last weekend," Liam reported. "It was edible." High praise. "He burned the garlic bread, but the sauce was okay. And he's trying, you know. That counts." It did count. One evening, while Liam was at robotics club, I received an unexpected call. "Mrs. Ellis? This is Rebecca from Clarity Publishing. We've been following your story, and we'd like to discuss a book deal. Would you be interested in writing a first-person account of your experience?" "A book? Your story is resonating with thousands of people. We think a memoir could help even more recognize abuse and find courage to act. Plus, proceeds could support your fund." I thought about Patricia's sunrise painting. About the 47 people we'd helped. About all the people we couldn't reach yet. "Yes," I said. "Let's talk." Writing the book was harder than I'd expected. Not the words themselves, but the memories they required me to revisit. The pharmacist's pitying look. Kendra's cold calculation. Daniel's gaslighting. The moment I'd signed the police complaint against my own son. Each chapter was emotional archaeology, digging up pain I'd tried to bury. But it was also healing. By the end, I'd written not just a story of betrayal, but of survival. Of choosing self-respect over silence. Of learning that protecting yourself isn't selfish, it's necessary. The book was called Medicine, Diamonds, and Lines I Won't Cross. It published 6 months later. Within 2 weeks, it hit regional bestseller lists. A portion of every sale went directly to the Elder Financial Defense Fund. The publicity brought more media attention. Morning shows. Podcasts. An invitation to speak at a national conference on elder rights. Through it all, Liam stayed grounded. "Grandma's kind of famous," he told his friends. "But she still makes me do my homework." At the conference, I met hundreds of people with similar stories. Some had pressed charges. Others hadn't but were considering it. A few were still trapped, afraid to act. To those people, I said the same thing every time: you deserve safety. You deserve dignity. You deserve medicine before anyone else gets diamonds. The message spread. Hashtag pills before diamonds became more than a hashtag, it became a movement. Daniel sent a message through Marisol: I read your book. Every word. Thank you for telling the truth, even when the truth made me look terrible. I deserved that. I didn't respond, but I appreciated it. Then, unexpectedly, the court contacted Marisol. Daniel had filed a petition for modified visitation with Liam. Not custody. Just supervised visits without the counselor present. What does Liam want? I asked. He says he's willing to try. So we did. The park was Daniel's choice. Neutral ground. Public but private enough for honest conversation. Liam ran ahead to the swings. Daniel and I sat on a bench, watching him. He's gotten so big, Daniel said. He's growing up. Thanks to you. We sat in awkward silence. A year and a half had passed since the arrest. Daniel had finished probation early for good behavior. He'd paid more than half the restitution. He'd rebuilt his life into something smaller but more honest. Mom, he said finally, I'm not here to ask for forgiveness. I'm not even sure what that would look like. I just wanted to say that I'm grateful. For Liam. For not completely shutting me out. For giving me a chance to prove I can be different. I watched my grandson swing higher, his laughter carrying across the park. You hurt me, I said simply. Deeply. You chose convenience and greed over my life. I know. And I'm still angry about that. I probably always will be, at least a little. I understand. But you're also trying to be better. I see that. Liam sees that. That matters. Does it matter enough? I turned to face him. Enough for what? Enough to pretend it never happened? No. Enough to rebuild something? Maybe. But it'll never be what it was. I don't deserve what it was. No, I agreed. You don't. But maybe we can build something new. Something honest. Where boundaries exist and respect isn't optional. I'd like that. Liam called from the swings. Dad. Grandma. Come push me. Daniel looked at me, asking permission. I nodded. We walked to the swings together, not side by side, but moving in the same direction. Daniel pushed Liam gently. I stood nearby, watching. This wasn't forgiveness. Not entirely. It was something more complicated. Acknowledgement that people could hurt you terribly and still deserve a chance to grow. That family was complicated. That healing wasn't linear. Daniel would never be the son I'd thought I had. That person had been an illusion, propped up by denial and hope. But maybe he could become someone real. Someone flawed but trying. Someone who paid his debts and showed up consistently and proved through action that he'd learned. Maybe that was enough. As the sun set over the park, Liam jumped off the swing mid-arc, landing in a triumphant crouch. Did you see that? He shouted. We saw it, I called back. And we had. Both of us. Witnessing the same moment, finally on the same side. Not forgiven. Not forgotten. But present. Later that night, after Daniel had left and Liam was asleep, I sat on my porch with tea and clarity. I thought about the woman I'd been 18 months ago. Standing in that pharmacy, humiliated and helpless. Believing she deserved that treatment because family was supposed to sacrifice. That woman was gone. In her place was someone who understood that self-respect wasn't selfish. That boundaries were acts of love, not punishment. That you could survive your own family trying to destroy you. I didn't need their diamond. I didn't need their perfectly worded apology. I needed my life back. And I'd taken it. On my terms. With evidence, boundaries, and the courage to say, this far, but no further. The tea cooled as I watched stars emerge. Somewhere in the house, Liam murmured in his sleep. Safe. Secure. Protected. That was enough. That was everything.